Well, I think we give it a go.
Let's roll.
Ja. Allemaal van harte welkom. Allereerst wil ik jullie allemaal van harte welkom heten bij ons webinar Hogere Productie door een juiste droogstand. Mijn naam is Rutger Woldenink en ik ben vanmiddag samen met mijn twee collega's hier in het kantoor in Veerwerd, Alice en Sylvia, jullie gastheer, gastvrouw in het webinar. We hebben ongeveer nu op dit moment 120 deelnemers in het webinar. 200 hebben er zich aangemeld, ruim 200. Ze komen uit Nederland, België, Polen, Slowakije. Ze vertegenwoordigen ongeveer 35.000 koeien met elkaar. Allereerst een aantal spelregels. Nou, vandaag werken we via Zoom. We maken vandaag ook gebruik van een vertaler. En je kunt kiezen welke taal je wilt volgen in het webinar. Zo dadelijk laat ik een schermpje zien waar je de taal kunt selecteren, kunt kiezen. En hier denk ik ook wel aanwijzen. Zometeen komt daar een slide van. Kiezen doe je op de onderstaande knop te klikken. Hier kun je de vragen stellen. Ik denk dat jullie mijn muis kunnen zien. En hier heb je de interpretations. Je kunt hem klikken of kiezen. Dan hoor je mij en Gordie. Maar je kunt ook zeg maar voor Nederlands gaan. En dan hoor je de Nederlandse vertaler die Gordie vertaalt. Wie is Gordie Jones? Gordie Jones is een melkveehouder uit de Verenigde Staten. Maar naast dat hij melkveehouder is hij ook dierenarts en wereldwijd adviseur op het gebied van voeding en koekomfort. De missie van Alta is dat wij jullie als veehouders nog meer helpen en bijstaan bij het creëren van nog meer for-event cows. Op uw bedrijf, dat zijn probleemloze koeien die 4 events kennen: vers, geïnsemineerd, drachtig en droog doorlopen, zonder al te veel problemen. En wij zijn ervan overtuigd dat alle koeien dat kunnen, die jullie nu in de stal hebben. Nou, hoe doen we dat? Door onze medewerkers en onze klanten de allerbeste training te geven, zodat ze zijn voorzien van de allerbeste kennis en door het leveren van de beste producten om u te ondersteunen in het management nog meer for-event cows te maken. Een onderdeel in de cyclus van een for-event cow is dat ze droog staat. Nou, stel je nu je eigen droogstandgroep eens voor. Is hier alles perfect gemanaged of zijn hier nog steeds verbeteringen door te voeren? Nou, de tijd dat je die melkkoeien, dat ze droog staan, is de tijd dat ze zich voorbereiden op de reis naar een for-event cow. En deze is heel erg belangrijk en dat punt gaan we vandaag met Gordie bespreken. Als je vragen hebt tijdens het webinar, kun je die stellen in de Q&A, dus niet in de chat. Die moet je stellen in de Q&A en aan het eind van het webinar gaan we die behandelen en dan behandel ik ze. Dan beantwoord ik de vragen zeg maar, die jullie gesteld hebben, die vraag ik aan Gordie, of die stel ik aan Gordie. Gordie die antwoordt in het Engels en ik vertaal ze in het Nederlands. Nou, Gordie, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Share, here we are. Let's go make better fresh cows together. So I've got more than 125 of you from many countries. Good afternoon. I'm thrilled to be here with Alta. Alta has been an amazing partner for me. They do create value. They do create trust. Instead of a company that just sells semen, they have tried to make herds better. So I've enjoyed being with them because they bring value to the dairy. So some of that value we're trying to bring today is to make a better fresh cow. We're going to talk about the Goldilocks diet. First, a little bit about me, in case you haven't known. I'm a dairy veterinarian, which really meant a long time ago that my best day was your worst day. You had a sick cow and I was happy. I got to fix your sick cow. I had many of my dairymen said, Gordie, stop being so happy, my cows are sick. Stop being so happy, you have to do surgery. So instead I started to do consulting for facilities, cow comfort, and dairy nutrition. Because cows get sick from either bad air, bad comfort, they get dirty, they don't lie down enough, they get lame, or bad rations, bad nutrition, milk cow and dry cow. So for many years I said, okay, I will go fix those problems. Then I was recruited by industry, by Monsanto, and I spent 3 years doing that. In that role, I designed some of the largest dairy farms in the United States. I got to design Fair Oaks. I fixed their fresh cow problem with the same information we're going to give you. And they said, you have to join us because you built a dairy farm only you could feed. So then I managed and was the nutritionist for over 20,000 cows at Fair Oaks, and another, excuse me, another 80,000 cows in the whole environment for them. Then with them, I partnered up and built my own dairy farm, and I managed it for 5 years. So after building my farm, managing it for 5 years, I got bored again and started to consult. And that's where I am today. But really where I am today is stuck because I can't travel. I would love to be in Holland in person giving this talk. Instead, we're here somewhere in the web, in the cloud. So without further ado, well, look at that list. It says either I get bored every 5 years or I can't keep a job. So I'm not sure which. Anyway, this is my home dairy. I'm still a partner there. And she's the reason this cow is the star of the show. Whether she's a Holstein, a Jersey, a Fleck V, it doesn't matter. Let's talk about cows. So we're going to take a dry cow program and have a new look at the old way to take care of cows. Across the world, there's been a failure of making great fresh cows, a failure of the transition period. So whether a cow has 1 baby, 2 babies, more babies, we can make a great fresh cow together. A cow that is healthy, a cow that can give lots of milk without any fresh cow problems. So now that I'm a dairyman at my own dairy, I used to give you rules. What rules still apply? These are simple rules for your dairy. Cow comfort comes first. Make them fresh. Make them comfortable. What does that look like? It looks like a great cubicle and fresh air. A dry cow program that makes great fresh cows. We'll talk about that today. Get great nutrition for your milk cows with good forage. In fact, the definition from Jeff Horson's, probably one of the best dairies in the world, is exceptional forage. Make exceptional forage. All right, cows have to get pregnant. And remember that everything done on the dairy gets done by people. So we have to be managers of people today. When we had 20 cows, the only person we managed was ourselves. Today, we have to be a people person. So the story of this ration is really the story of whether it's too little or too much. How do we get it just right? In America, there's the story of Goldilocks. In Europe, it's called the golden middle. We're trying to hit the middle. In America, the story was Goldilocks. Goldilocks was a little yellow-haired girl who went into the woods and found the home of the 3 bears. The 3 bears had just made breakfast, hot porridge. But the porridge was too hot, so the bears went for a walk. The little girl went in the house and she tried to eat the Papa Bear's porridge, and it was too hot. And the Mama's Bear's porridge was too cold. But the baby bear's porridge was just right, and she ate it all. So in the middle is just right. Then she sat down in Papa Bear's chair, but it was too big. Baby Bear's chair was too small, but Mama Bear's chair was just right. Then she went in for a nap, and one bed was too hard, one bed was too soft, one bed was just right. So back to this ration. How do we get it just right? Well, too much. There's been too much, too much. Some cows are too fat. Some cows might lose too much weight in the dry pen. Some cows spend too much time in the dry cow pen. Dry for 90 days, dry for 4 months. Too much energy in this ration will be bad. Too many lactations. You've kept that cow one time too many. Too many babies, twins, triplets. Too much grain, which is too much energy. Too much overcrowding. Too many cows in the pen. I see your dairy. I've seen it. You've got too much overcrowding. What about too little? Sometimes the cow is too thin. Sometimes there's too little time in the dry cow pen. I need 6 weeks, 42 days dry at minimum. Too little selenium. Too little zinc. Too little cow comfort. Too little dry matter intake. Too little fiber. The ration goes through the cow too fast because you don't have effective fiber. Too little protein and you won't make colostrum. Too little magnesium and you have down cows from grass tetany. All right, too much, too little. How do we get it just right? All right, how to make all rations work on your dairy. This is milk cow, dry cow rations. All right, this is pretty easy. To make the cows work, we need the ration. Well, to make the ration work, we have to have quality feedstuffs, cow comfort, people have to do their jobs, and consistency and routine. All of those come in to make our rations work, milk cow and dry cow rations, then the cows work. If any one of these 4 are out, the ration doesn't work, then the cows don't work. Amazingly, getting a dairy right is like getting a symphony right. There are lots of parts to a beautiful musical performance, but making music is getting it all together at the right time, in the right order to do that. That's how we make dairies work. You literally, as a dairyman, are the conductor of one of the greatest symphonies we have. All right, what about rations that work best for me? This is milk cow rations for a second. I want to have greater than 50% forage. Currently, my ration at Central Sands is 63% forage. 6.3. No more than 4 kilos total dry matter from feeds with a 40% neutral detergent fiber that are not forage. Those would be beet pulp, distiller's grain, byproduct feeds. Butterfat, I want it above 3.75 for your Holsteins, no more 3.5. And your jerseys, I want above 4.7. Jerseys should be 5.0 fat. All right. Across the world, there's been a failure for making great fresh cows. So what have we tried? Let me stop for a minute. When I was a frustrated dairy vet, I used to write a letter to my dairyman. And it was about the village that was downstream. And in the village, they didn't remember when the first bodies appeared in the river, but they tried to save them. So they bought boats. They trained people to row the boats. They built a watchtower on the river to see the people in the river. They had boats. They had trained people. They pulled the drowning people out of the river. And now they built a first aid station that became a hospital. And the village downstream was very proud. They were saving 99% of the drowning people in the river. But nobody in the village asked what was happening upstream. Upstream, they put a guardrail at the national park. Nobody fell in the river. What happened to the village downstream? The watchtower went out of work. The boats went out of work. The hospital went out of work. And at the bottom of my letter, I said, is your dairy working upstream or downstream? We've had a problem with fresh cows. So what have we tried? Our dry cow, fresh cow programs. We've tried a close-up program. We've tried steam-up programs. If you're steaming up cows, you're doing it wrong. We've tried 10-day programs. This is the watchtower and pulling them out of the river. We've tried drenching programs where we drench fresh cows. Every fresh cow, we put a hose in her nose and her mouth and we pump things into her stomach. We tried calcium boluses. Calcium boluses have taught us that cows need calcium when they're fresh. They work for helping cows. We'll talk more about that later. We've done ketosis testing after fresh. Every fresh cow. Maybe we shouldn't test every fresh cow if we get it right. We just monitor fresh cows. We've done short dry cow periods because it looks like the dry cow period caused our problem. We've done no dry cow periods. I've seen herds where the dry cows stay with the milk cows because dry cow period causes problems. I've seen multiple milkings. We milk the fresh cow. If our herd is milking 2 times, we milk the fresh cow 4 times. If our herd is milking 3 times, I don't have 6 fingers. We now milk the fresh cow 6 times. And then the craziest one I saw was in Canada, in Quebec. They said, let's milk the fresh cows once a day. My gosh. I went, what are you doing? And they said, milk causes energy out of the cow. That causes ketosis, so we'll only milk her once a day. I said, why don't you just stop milking the fresh cows? They said, that was stupid. I said, so is once a day milking. All right. So we go to the fresh pen, and what do? Let's go upstream, put a guardrail at the national park, stop the cows from falling in the river. All right, Goldilocks, the golden middle. How do we get it just right? Cow comfort, no overcrowding, a great place to lay down, fresh air, lower the energy and raise the fiber. Lower the energy in the dry cow ration. Jim Drakely and Phil Cardosa, these 2 doctors work at the University of Illinois. Look at their dairy science research. It does the Goldilocks, the controlled energy dry cow diet. Twisted stomachs. I have seen US dairy industry information that say a dairy should have a goal of 4 to 6% twisted stomachs. Less than 1% is achievable. All right, here's a dairy on Dairy Comp. 3,000 fresh cows in a year, 15 DAs. What does that really mean? It means 15 divided by 3,000 is less than half of 1% DAs a year. Okay, less than 1/2. You should have 300 fresh cows with only 1 twisted stomach. Time in the dry cow pen. We have said that if a dry cow is in the dry cow pen for more than 90 days, she will get fat, she will get ketosis, she will freshen a mess, and she will die. I'm going to show you a herd. Okay, this graph's a little hard. I need my interpreter to understand. On the vertical axis, the x-axis is first milk projection. That is the first test milk. On the y-axis is the days dry. So this is up to 180 days dry. We don't recommend this, but this herd had some cows that were 90 days dry, 120 days dry. But look at the blue line. The R squared value, which is the relationship between X and Y axis, is 0, 0. There's no relationship. Come with me quickly and look at this cow. This cow is 100 and almost 50 days dry. 5 months. Her first milk was very high. She was a great cow and she had high first milk. Look at her neighbor. 150 days dry and she had low first milk. If we feed dry cows right, they can be in the dry cow pen longer than 90 days and not have a problem. They don't get fat on the controlled energy diet, the Goldilocks diet. All right. This is to show you the rest of the herd. The big group of red cows are between 40 and 60 days dry. The R squared value is 0, 0. But look at this. These cows that I'm circling had less than 40 days dry. All of their first milks are below the blue line, and they had low first projections. You need to have at least 42 days dry. Because a cow will be plus or minus 10 days, I need 52 days dry to get 42 on every dry cow. And because I dry up once a week, I add 7 to 52, and now I'm at 59. So I put 60 days in for my dry cow period, and I end up with every cow above 42. All right, that too much stuff, too fat, too much weight gain. Here's the trick. It's too much energy. If we give the cow too much energy in the dry cow pen, in the dry cow ration, she will get fat, she will eat less, and then we have a fresh cow problem. All right, this is what I said before. I need 6 weeks dry. Shorter dry cow periods will decrease your profit. You can have 1 group or 2 groups. In large herds, I need 2 groups, same ration. I just need 2 groups. I can separate them after 21 days, but I feed the same energy. 1 group in your smaller herds works great. If I'm making 2 groups, it's far off, close up, but they have the same energy, and it's all about making a cow eat more. Intake. All right, these are the general guidelines, and we'll get more specific. No more than 4 kilograms of maize silage, corn silage, or barley silage. That's dry matter, 4 kilos dry matter of starch silage. 3 to 4 kilos of dry straw, high quality, low energy, must be chopped short, 5 centimeters or less. All the grain she needs will come from the silage. No extra grain, no starch in the ration. No sorting. This cow cannot sort out the ration. She has to eat it all. All right. If it fails, when it fails, we will lower the energy even more. Now, I've said these don't add up to 12 kilos. Your cow's going to eat 12 kilos of dry matter. Up above, I've got 4 kilos of corn silage and 4 kilos of straw. That's 8. The other 4 kilos can be grass silage. They can be barley straw. They can be all the proteins we have to put in the ration. But these are the guidelines for energy. No more than 4 kilos dry matter maize silage. All right, look at dry matter intake with this golden ration. Dry matter intake, low energy, high fiber, dry cow diets. Far off cows are going to eat 12 to 14 kilos of dry matter. Close up cows are going to eat about 11 kilos. If I take mega cows, and we will get to megajoules, so hang with me. You think in megajoules, I think in megacals. So right now we'll talk about megacals per kilo. 1.32 megacals per kilo times 12 kilos of dry matter intake is 16 megacals. The NRC, the nutrient requirement of cattle, says that a Holstein needs 14.5 to 15 megacals of energy. We've got plenty of energy. In fact, we might have too much. Now look at this, dry matter intake. The ration is going to have a 50% NDF. The ration is going to be almost 100% forage, except the mineral and protein. The cow is going to eat 12 kilos at 50% NDF. 12 times 0.5 is 6 kilos of NDF. So in that rumen, we're going to put 6 kilos of fiber. That's an important number for you. Remember 6 kilos. We'll talk about it. She's eating 16 megacals. My milk cow diet. My milk cows are eating 23 kilos at a 26% NDF from forage. So my milk cows are eating 6 kilos. I just made a dry cow eat 6 kilos of fiber, and my milk cows are eating 6 kilos of fiber. Amazingly, if I can get you to realize that, I have trained my dry cows to have a rumen that holds 6 kilos of fiber. And my milk cows are eating 6 kilos of fiber, but they are eating 23 kilos at fresh. We'll show you this in a few minutes. All right, look at it this way on a graph. Dry, close up, fresh. The dry cows start out there and they get to 13 kilos, 12 kilos of dry matter intake. All right, we make them a fresh cow. And now the fresh cows are eating 11 kilos. And then she has her baby and she doesn't eat. And that's what we think the graph looks like. This graph is a fairy tale. This is what we think happens. Okay, this is what we've been told happens. 13 kilos becomes 11 kilos fresh, and the cow goes out to eat. What really happens across Europe and in Holland specifically is people make a close-up ration, a steam-up ration. They'll add energy to the close-up cow. When they add energy, this cow for 5 weeks figured out how much food she needed, how much ration she needed to get her energy. When you put more energy in it, she ate the same amount of fiber the next day, but there was now more grain in that fiber. So really what she did was this. For 3 days, she ate an extra kilo. And eating that extra kilo, because she was looking for 6 kilos of fiber, she ate to here. But then her brain said, whoa, more energy than we need. So now she said, how much energy do I need? Well, she tried to get there. She's going down in intake. And just before she freshened, she said 8 kilos of intake. 8 kilos at 50% fiber is only 4 kilos of fiber. 8 kilos times 0.5 is 4 kilos of fiber. So we now have this fresh cow, almost fresh cow, eating 4 kilos of fiber. The average in the pen is still 11 kilos. But our closest cow is now eating this red line, and she takes off. If you and I will keep this ration the same energy, instead of the red line, we can get the green line. We can get almost an identical intake. She freshens, and then she has this green intake. And the difference between the red line intake and the green line intake is the difference between ketosis, metritis, twisted stomachs, milk fever, all of the problems that fresh cows get. So do you want your cow on the red line intake, or do you want your cow on the green line intake? The way to keep her on the green line is to keep the energy in the close-up pen identical to the dry cow pen. I could stop right now and I'm done, but we'll explain this further. Look at fresh cow starts. All right, this is a difficult graph. It's a dairy comp graph. It's why I love dairy comp so much. This is a whole herd of cows. The red dots are first calf heifers. The yellow dots are third calf, mature cows. And the green dots are second calf cows. And now on the x-axis is first projection. And on the y-axis, is days since fresh. So to help my interpreter, these cows here at the end are 300 days in milk. But they are telling us what their first milk was. Let me say that again. These cows here are 300 days in milk, but when I ask them on this graph, what is your first milk 300 days ago? So this is a graph, a picture of all of my herd, somebody's herd, and their first test milk. What do you see? I have a friend, Dr. David Reed, who gives a lot of talks for Alta, and his talks are, what do you see? What do you see? All right, what do you see here? If I help you by putting two lines, I'll put a line there and a line there. For 10 months, we never had a first milk above this line. Then we fixed the dry cow program, and the last 2 months, all of the first milks are better because we made the fresh cows eat better. All right, here's another herd. This is a herd 5 years ago I went to. It had 4,000 fresh cows in a year, 3,961. They were bleeding every cow at day 5 to 7. Twice a week, they were bleeding their fresh cows for ketosis. They had almost 900 ketosises. So here they had 341 fresh cows, 119 ketosis, 92 ketosis. In March, they had 282 cows, 134 ketosis. Well, on March 1st, I got there and we made a Goldilocks dry cow ration. March 1st. On April 15th, when they were testing cows, they had 381 fresh cows, 4 ketosis. May, they had 300 fresh cows, no ketosis. We stopped all the ketosis. Look at what we did to twisted stomachs. They had a 2% DA rate, 2% displaced abomasums. Here they had 300 fresh cows, 18 twisted stomachs. 270 fresh cows, 12 twisted stomachs. 280, 12. And then we took over. Almost 400 fresh cows, 1 twisted stomach. 300 fresh cows, 1 twisted stomach. That's the power of the Goldilocks ration.
Gordie.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question? Because I have a question from one of the attendees.
Go ahead.
I see a lot of farms that are getting 13 to 14 kilograms dry matter intake at dry cows. Is the more intake, the better? Or are they getting too much energy and should we feed more fiber?
It depends on the ration, but 13 and 14 are still in the ballpark for big Holsteins I've seen in Europe. So that's right at the okay line.
Okay.
All right. So I gave this talk in the United Kingdom when we could still travel about 2 years ago. And I was on the program with Dr. Phil Cardosa, the people who have done the science behind this ration. Phil said, Gordie, you need my cow. I said, okay, let's see your cow. This is his cow from the University of Illinois. Now I was giving the dry cow talk on controlled energy diet, Goldilocks, and he was giving a milk cow talk on balancing amino acids, methionine and lysine. That's what amino acids are here. So this cow, they were measuring her intake in a box, the Kalin gate. This is her 3 days fresh. That is normal discharge, a little cloudy, and 3 days fresh. She was fresh 2 years ago. And this is her 17 days in milk. She's not a great, beautiful cow, but she's a cow. Here's her data. When she was a dry cow, her every day up and down, there's daily variation, but look at the line. It is straight. This is her dry matter intake. And to answer your question here, Rutger, this is about 35. So if I take 35 divided by 2.2, I get 15.6, 15.9 kilos. So having 14 isn't bad. This is controlled energy. We kept the energy right. She was a big Holstein. And then here's her data. Her cow number is 1311. She gave 6 kilos of colostrum. The bricks was 25, that's good. The fat was 3.4 on her colostrum, protein. Those are normal good numbers. Here's her fresh cow intake. Now for a couple days she was down and then she took off. Look at her milk production. This is 13 days in milk and she got to 157 pounds. 157 divided by 2.2 equals, she was at 71 kilos of milk. Are you listening out there? 71 kilos to a fresh cow. Holy cow, let's get moving. All right, the second thing I want you to do, controlled energy, don't feed a fresh ration to the fresh cows. Feed the milk cow ration. Fresh rations contain more fiber than high cow rations. The cow is looking for 6 kilos of NDF from forage. The fresh ration will fill the cow with less food. This less food will give you a slower start, more ketosis, and even milk fever. All right, here's the way the specifications are for the ration. Cows are going to eat 11 to 13 and all the way up to 15 kilos of dry matter. The crude protein is going to be 13.5% to 15. Here's the most important thing. I'm going to need 1,200 grams of metabolizable protein.
Gordie, a question about this. We got a question from Bert.
Yep.
He asked, is it good that we increase the protein the last 10 days before calving?
Probably not necessary, but you could save a little money in 2 rations and have lower protein until the last 3 weeks, and then make sure you get 1,200 grams of metabolizable protein. One of the secrets of protein is in October, November, and December, the last few months we just went through, we had lower colostrum sometimes. The reason we had lower colostrum sometimes is what happens in the fall. What happens in the fall in Holland is the sun goes away. And when the sun goes away and the days get shorter, cows grow hair. They grow hair, the protein goes in the hair. Well, they grow hair. They grow hair everywhere. The protein goes in the hair and we lose colostrum. You need at least 1,200 grams of metabolizable protein to make colostrum. The net energy of this ration is going to be 1.32 megacals per kilo or 5.5 megajoules per kilo of net energy, not net maintenance. Net energy. So your nutritionist has to make sure he's doing net energy of lactation, 5.5 megajoules per kilo. The NDF is going to be 40 to 50. The NFC is going to be below 26. And some of you are going to ask, what about starch? I don't care about starch. It'll be below 12%. It can be 10%. It can be 8% starch. No starch. We don't need it. We don't need to prepare the rumen. The starch bacteria will grow in the milk cow ration when you give them the starch. You don't need to prepare anything. There's a scientist named Greg Penner. Greg Penner is from the University of Saskatchewan in Canada. And he said that preparation of the rumen, preparation of the bugs is a fairy tale. All right. Dry matter intake 13 kilos. Do not add phosphorus. Do not add any phosphorus to your minerals. I want your calcium to be at about 1.2%. I'm going to talk about calcium separate. Magnesium and potassium, they have to be 1 to 4. If your potassium gets high, don't worry about it. Just add more magnesium. And for my interpreter, the magnesium will come from 2 sources. Half from mag oxide, and half from mag sulfate. If my potassium gets high, add more magnesium. All right. At least 1,200 grams. So my dry cow program is really 3 parts. Energy. Energy is low, so cows eat more dry matter intake. 15 kilos will be fine. Protein. The metabolizable protein at 1,200 grams for colostrum. And the mineral will be 125 to 150 grams of calcium, magnesium and phosphorus, magnesium and potassium, 1 to 4, add no phosphorus. It's just this simple. Now, somebody's going to ask, I'll see it pop up, what about anionic salts? And I'll tell you, keep the energy low, the protein right, and if you want to do anionic salts here, great. If you want to do zeolite, great. You do whatever you want with your minerals. As long as you follow these 2 parts, you'll be fine. Just keep magnesium and potassium right. All right, troubleshooting this. Feed bulky forages. This is adequate, physical, effective NDF. There has to be bulk in that forage. The cow should move a little. Cow comfort, they need a well-bedded pack. I need 75 centimeters of bunk space per cow. Watch out for grain in the ration. Watch out for low protein. Watch out for a lot of urea. Don't feed low quality protein. If you have low magnesium levels with high potassium, you will get a down cow that cannot get up. Do not add any phosphorus. And here's the big one. If cows get too much energy, they will eat too little and they get all the fresh cow problems. Sorting is the #1 problem. Poor quality forages. They have to be palatable. Cows want to eat it. Don't feed molds and mycotoxin. Excess potassium, add excess magnesium. And if you don't know your forages, you got to do wet chemistry analysis. All right, overcrowding can be a problem. Slug feeding, no TMR delivery. All right, everybody who feeds my ration says to join Gordie's Club, you got to prepare your straw. All right, I want your ration to look this way. It doesn't look like much of a ration except chopped straw. That's the dry cow ration. Look at how short it is. All right. Dry cow management is the single most important phase of production. I can fix any herd by fixing the dry cows and make every nutritionist look great by fixing the dry cow management. It's the single most important phase of production. All right, we're going to answer some questions, and we've got a dairy herd from Holland on behind this. Where do you want to go, Rutger? You want to answer some questions first before we look at that herd?
Yeah, I think we need to go 3 slides back. You talked about 1,200 something in the ration.
Yep.
And
then I've got 1,000 here.
Yeah, Ivo asked, is that the same as crude protein?
No, it's not the same as crude protein. Every nutritionist has a program, he does it on his computer, that gives him his crude protein. Let me go back one more. So the crude protein is going to be 13 to 15%. But if you only put in soluble protein like urea, you could have a crude protein of 15%, but you wouldn't have any metabolizable protein. The nutritionists that help our dairymen end up with a very good program that will tell them with this ration, this is how much metabolizable protein these ingredients make. So now this piece here is the least studied part of it. There's not a lot of data here. So that's why some people say I need 1,000 grams of metabolizable protein. The University of Wisconsin, the University of Illinois says you need 1,200 grams of metabolizable protein. Cornell University says you need 1,400 grams. What you need is enough protein to get good colostrum. If I go to this thing here, energy makes the cow eat the right dry matter. Protein makes colostrum. So the take-home message for everybody out there is that you get the energy low, you get the protein making colostrum. And if you're not making colostrum, you tell me, hey, Gordie, my herd is low in colostrum. I'll tell you over the phone, raise the soybean meal. Just raise it. No matter where it's at, raise it. And suddenly you'll have high quality protein and you'll make colostrum. And then you do your mineral program. This is my mineral program, but you can do anionic salts. So the dry cow program is really easy. Energy, protein, mineral.
Okay. You showed that picture where you had your ration in your hand. adding
Yep.
water to the dry cow ration. Is that a good idea?
That's a great idea, and it should be added to my
Peter.
talk. Whoever asked that question, give them an attaboy.
So
By
Peter, you get it.
to this, it prevents cows from sorting. And I will add 5 kilos, a whole liter of water. Not a liter, 4 liters, a whole gallon. 4 liters of water per cow.
Okay. This is a little complicated. Gordie, you talk a lot about megajoules. Well,
Yeah.
in the Netherlands, we talk about FEM. That's also an energy level.
Okay,
But what we can do, Evelien, is we can come and explain it to you. I think that makes more sense.
well, what I want you to do is use the program you use with your energy. The program will convert back and forth to megajoules, megacals, doesn't matter.
And when we looked on the website of Eurofines, eurofines-agro.com, and then .nl or /nl, you can find a lot of interpretations, vertalingen van de items wat Gordie nu vertelt, kun je daar ook heel goed terugvinden. Ivo has a question about moving or grazing. Is that a good idea for dry cows? Exercising. First,
Exercise moving is a wonderful idea. And so is grazing until you can control their energy for the last 3 weeks. Somebody asked a question about heifers, first calf. I feed this to my heifers who aren't calved yet. I feed this for the last 60 days to my heifers and to all of my milk cows.
Okay. Well, I think it's going to be late tonight, Gordie, because a lot of questions are coming in.
That's good. I'm happy. That
That
means we made them think, right?
That's really good. That's really good. Good question from Harmen Jan Kessens. How do we prep our first calf heifers?
Our first calf heifers, the ones that are going to be, they can be on this diet for 60 days before calving. So my heifers before calving, my heifers who are going to have their first calf are on this diet for the last 60 days. And then they freshen. So they're on the same diet as my milk cows.
Okay.
And it says, can you add high protein DDGS as a protein additive? Absolutely.
Okay. A question from Adeline, one of my colleagues. How many square meters need a dry cow minimum for resting?
Yeah, a great cubicle is what she needs, but if you have them in loose housing, I now need, oh God, it's 100 square feet. Hold on. Convert 100 square feet to square meters. I need 9.2 square meters.
Yeah, we always say 9 to 10 square meters.
Yeah.
What about early feed intake stimulations, like the cow signals cuddle box?
I'm not sure of their cuddle box. If I keep the energy low, they will eat more. That cuddle box is where she can separate herself off. Is that what that is?
No, if a cow has calved, then you drag the calf in front of the cow, where the cow can eat or drink. Yeah.
Yep, that's
And
wonderful.
she can dry off the calf. She can lick the calf, and then you can feed the calf, and that stimulates.
All of that is great stimulation. Sure. Ah, that is our Joop. Hey, Joop.
Onze Joep.
I'm glad you're here, Joop.
A question from Beth. Do I understand it right? If I have a farm, I actually only need 2 rations, one for the dry cows and one for the milk cows.
Yes.
Sounds simple.
Behind me is Hank Wagner's dairy. He has 600 cows. He has a 49 liter average and feeds 2 rations, dry cow, milk cow. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
At my dairy, we milk 3,500 milk cows, 2 rations, dry cow, milk cow.
Keep it simple. Yeah. A question for one of the veterinarians. We see often that if we raise the protein, we will get more oedemia or milk fever. Would that be right?
That it really has nothing to do with it. I can keep milk fever from happening with the right mineral balance between calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, and potassium. You can say that now, or the interpreter can. And edema, if I keep the energy low, starch makes edema generally, but the extra protein will make extra energy. So that's why he's confused sometimes. We don't ever want to waste extra protein. That's our most expensive ingredient. Okay, there's your Gerst is 6.
Yeah, about heat stress. I think that's a good point as well. You have a lot of experience in that one as well. And summers are getting hotter in the Netherlands as well. And now it's time to invest in it. Heat stress, is soaking a good idea for dry cows or ventilators?
Say that again?
Heat stress, is soaking a good idea for dry cows or is ventilators enough?
Soaking is a wonderful idea for dry cows. The University of Florida, your dry cow has 3 generations of information in her. She has her information to make milk this next lactation. She's giving birth to a baby cow that's going to give milk in 2 years, and the baby cow's eggs are in the baby cow. So when we stress a dry cow, we are stressing 3 generations of your future. So soaking dry cows is a wonderful idea. And this is brand new science that just scares, it just blows my mind. I'm absolutely crazy. The dry cow that freshens tomorrow is carrying 3 generations of information. Her information that will make milk this year. Her baby that will make milk in 2 years, and the baby is carrying eggs that will become a baby in 2 more years that will then carry it. So when you imprint the information on stress, you've affected 3 cows worth of information. That's just crazy. It comes from Florida.
But good to be aware of. Do you need to balance for amino acids?
Not necessarily in the dry cow period. No, if I get 1,000 grams, 1,200 grams of metabolizable protein, I'm going to be fine.
Okay, another question. How do we dry off still high yielding cows?
Feed them that Goldilocks dry cow diet with no energy and they'll dry up just like that. You could have them in a pen for 1 week on the dry cow diet while you're milking them if you really are worried. We have herds over 45 liters, over 48 liters that just put them on the dry cow diet, no energy, they don't make any milk.
And adding ionetic salts, is that a good idea for dry cows?
It's an okay idea. It works. I don't think it's necessary idea. It works, but it's okay. So there are many people doing it and it still works. So if I go back to thinking about this, I'm back to this simple thing. If he's asking about anionic salts, this is the mineral program. Yes, you can use anionic salts here. It's a little more expensive, but it still works, so I'm okay with it.
Okay. Okay, I think we've answered now most of the questions. Probably we will get some more questions after we've seen the pictures, because now we can go to the pictures. It's typically Dutch, highly automated barn.
Oh, okay.
Mooi bedrijf, 5 robots. Zit na te denken over een nieuwe transitiestal te bouwen. We hebben Gordie de foto's gestuurd om te kijken van, goh, wat zijn eventueel goede ideeën om het aan te pakken, hoe het aan te pakken, enzovoort, enzovoort. Gordie, you can go ahead.
Okay, so his dry cow ration, when he showed it to me, this is how he's feeding his cows. This is, how do I hide this? I have to put that out of the way. So 10 cows, 55 cows, this is his dry cow ration. If I look at it, oops, this way, and when I looked at it, the one thing this dairyman did was he added too much energy to his dry cow ration. So we're talking about his dry cow ration. So whoever you are, Mr. Dairyman, you have to pull the grain out of that dry cow. No extra starch. But you got the whole talk, so we'll do this. He wants to use this shed or this shed to make a transition barn. Both of them will work. This shed only has some heifers in it. This shed, the other end of this shed has the other end has these cows in them at this end. You can make a great dry cow barn this way. I would put air here. So I would open this up, and up on the roof, I would let air in. But this can work. If I go back to his other far off dry cow, his close-up dry cows are here. In a milk cow pen, I'm very mad at this. In a dry cow pen, I'm happy. This is still at least a waterer. Now, if we look at these are dry cows. The ration, there's lots of ration. That's great. A steep roof with a hole in it. I want more air in the side, but the cows are laying down and they're eating there. If I look at this crossover, I was very mad at this for milk cows. Okay, for milk cows, it's way too narrow and the water is too small. For dry cows, it's not as important for dry cows. They're only staying alive. So I could use this as a dry cow pen. If you see this is a robot to give grain. What do you think I think of that? I'll tell you what I think. Don't.
Dutch invention.
Don't give grain. Well, it was an invention because we thought we needed energy before we freshened. This is the only mammal. If your wife, your young wife is going to have a baby, the doctor doesn't says, hey, we need to give her more M&Ms. She needs to gain weight before she freshens. No, this is a bad idea. Now for comfort, you and I don't want to lay there. And for lunging, this bar is in the way. So there are lots of things I don't like. If I look at his ration, well, what do you like? All right, there's air coming in, air goes out. This dairyman has added fans to give air over the beds. The cows are in bed. I would provide more cushion than this. I would get rid of the bar in front of the lunge space, but not bad. These cows have great cushion. If I look at his ration, the presentation of this ration is wonderful. It's nice, it's chopped, it's short. Did a great job, Mr. Dairyman. Now I just want to lower the energy and make better fresh cows. Okay.
Do we have some more questions? Yes, we have. Can we feed the Jersey and the Holstein cows the same ration?
Absolutely. You may have to, with the Jerseys, increase the protein percentage just a little bit because they eat a little less than the Holsteins. But if they're in a mixed pen together, they can get the same one. I feed my Jersey herd the same dry cow diet. Yeah. What source of calcium do I use? I use limestone.
Okay. Question from another dairyman. Not all the dairy guys in the Netherlands, they have TMR mixes. So what they can do, they can ask a guy to come to the farm, take the corn silage, grass silage, put it in TMR wagon and put it under plastic again. Is that a good idea to make it for dry cows? Instead of...
Boy, once you mix a wet feed like that, it doesn't keep very long because you've oxygenated it when you mix it. So I would be very careful about that. If I didn't have a TMR, and the way we did this in very small herds in Wisconsin was we limit feed the energy, which is the mineral, the protein together, where all the cows have 75 centimeters of bunk space. We limit feed that, and then we ad-lib feed just straw, marsh hay, some low energy grass, and they can eat all they want of that. That's the best way if you don't have a TMR.
Okay. More questions coming in. Yeah, I think you have questions. I've answered that question already. What source of added calcium do you use in your dry cow ration?
Just limestone.
Yeah, just limestone. When do we make the choice of if we need to dry off cows or we should, well, bring them away, but it's not... For example, cow 20 liters at 30 days. At 100, if a cow is producing 20 kilos at 130 days, do we need to make her pregnant, or should we, well, keep her open?
I'm going to let you guys go to that dairy and help give that advice. That's what Ulta's for. There's a lot of depends. If I don't have a stall, if I have no other cow for that spot, I might keep her and breed her. There's lots that goes into that decision.
But that's what we like to do, Gordie.
Yeah.
What happens if you feed a lot of corn Z meal?
If you feed a lot of corn silage, you get too much energy, low intakes, and fresh cow problems.
Okay. And a lot of energy out of corn. That's actually what they say.
If the corn has lots of energy, we just reduce the amount we feed the maize silage. 123 people have stuck with us. That's great out there, people.
Mm-hmm. A question about the calcium part.
What is the calcium? When is the calcium part coming? What does that mean?
I think about boluses.
What about the calcium boluses? The calcium boluses help cows. Can make a cow eat more when she's fresh. I don't need a calcium bolus. If you're stumbling and you have a fat cow, she has twins, she doesn't eat, give her that calcium bolus. Absolutely. They would be in my cabinet ready to help me anytime I needed it. If you don't have corn, can it work with grass and straw? Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we're done with all the questions. A lot of people say, well, it's very interesting, learned a lot. Some people said, nice meeting you, Gordie.
Good to be here. I want to thank Alta again for inviting me. I
think it was a really nice webinar. Well, and I would like to thank you, Gordie, for being part of this webinar. En alle gasten, iedereen die heeft meegedaan aan dit webinar, ook allemaal van hartelijk bedankt. De volgende keer nodigen we jullie allemaal graag weer uit. En dan gaan we het hebben over een fresh start. Dus dat is de juiste start geven aan koeien die net hebben gekalfd. Maar ook de juiste start voor een pasgeboren kalf. Well, Gordie, thank you. Audience, thank you. En tot de volgende keer.
Good luck, my friends. Send me an email if you have more questions.
Yep, we will do so.